Introduction: A New Level of Truth. In 2006, Rhonda Byrne changed millions of lives with The Secret, a book that introduced the world to the law of attraction. It taught people to focus their minds on abundance, love, and success, and to believe that their thoughts create their reality. That book opened the door to a powerful way of thinking, that what you focus on, you attract. But in The Greatest Secret, Byrne goes deeper, much deeper. This book is not about manifesting things, it's about transcending the need to manifest anything at all. What she reveals here is not another technique, but a timeless truth, one that spiritual masters have whispered through the centuries, and one that most people miss while chasing success, peace, or happiness.
That truth is this: you are not your mind. You are not your thoughts. You are not your emotions. You are awareness itself. You are the space in which everything arises. And when you realize this, suffering ends.
That's the shift The Greatest Secret invites you to make. It's not a book about how to get what you want. It's a book about discovering that what you truly are has never been lacking, never been broken, never been separate. That behind every thought, emotion, desire, or fear, there is a silent presence, pure, formless, peaceful, and unchanging. That presence is you. Most of us go through life thinking we are our personality, our story, our roles. We identify with our names, jobs, ambitions, traumas, or even our spiritual journeys. But The Greatest Secret says that all of that is just noise on the surface. Who you really are, the truth of what you are, is far beyond identity. This audiobook is a guide to that realization. Each chapter will explore a key teaching from The Greatest Secret, broken down into language that is grounded, clear, and accessible. Whether you're familiar with non-duality, consciousness work, or you're just feeling stuck and searching for peace. This is a journey back to yourself, not the self your mind created, but the awareness that existed before any thought arose. You'll learn why identifying with thoughts creates suffering, how to access the unchanging awareness behind experience, what it really means to let go, and why surrender isn't weakness, how welcoming feelings can dissolve emotional pain, why joy, not struggle, is your natural state, and how to stop searching and simply recognize what's already true. But this isn't a journey of learning more, it's a journey of unlearning. Unlearning who you thought you were.
Unlearning the mind's story.
Unlearning the need to control, fix, or find anything. This is the invitation at the heart of The Greatest Secret. Stop trying to become something. Start seeing what you already are. It's not hidden, it's not far away. It's here, now, always.
You don't need to believe it.
You just need to look and see. Let's begin. Lesson 1. You are not your thoughts. Awakening from the illusion. Most people go their entire lives without ever questioning the voice in their head. The mind thinks and we believe it. It judges, narrates, worries, plans, and we assume it's us. We say, I'm anxious, or I'm confused, or I'm not good enough, without realizing that these are not truths, they're thoughts, and thoughts are not what we are. This is where suffering begins, not in life itself, but in the identification with the constant chatter of the mind. In The Greatest Secret, Rhonda Byrne shines a light on this illusion. She invites us to step back from the noise and ask a simple, powerful question. Who is aware of this thought? The moment you ask this, something shifts. You move from being the thought to observing the thought. And in that shift, you begin to awaken the trap of identification. Let's say a thought arises. I always mess things up. If you're identified with the thought, you believe it. It becomes part of your story, your identity, your reality. It colors how you act, how you feel, and what you expect from life. But now, imagine hearing that same thought and realizing, that's just a thought, I don't have to believe it.
Suddenly it has no power over you. You're not the voice. You're the awareness that hears the voice.
This is the heart of awakening. Thoughts are like clouds drifting through the sky of your mind. Some are bright, some are dark, some are inspiring, others are cruel, but none of them define you. The sky doesn't identify with the storm. It simply allows it to pass. You are that sky. You are not the clouds. Where do thoughts come from? Most people don't realize that thoughts appear automatically. You don't consciously think, I'm going to feel insecure at 3:15 p.m. It just happens. And then another thought follows, and another, until you're wrapped in a story that feels like you, but you never chose those thoughts. They come from habit, memory, conditioning, trauma, repetition. They arise and you observe. Try it right now. Close your eyes for a moment and just watch your mind. Don't judge, don't control. Just observe. What do you notice? Thoughts appear one by one. Some are familiar, some are random, some are emotionally charged, but you are not creating them intentionally. So if you're not choosing your thoughts, how can they be who you are? They aren't. You are the awareness that sees them. This awareness doesn't change. It was there when you were 5 years old. It was there yesterday. It will be there tomorrow. Thoughts come and go. Emotions rise and fall. But awareness stays.
Awareness is not thinking.
Awareness is seeing that thinking is happening. And in that seeing, freedom begins. Thoughts versus truth. The mind will argue, but this thought feels true. And that's fine. Thoughts can feel real, but that doesn't make them truth. A thought can say, no one likes me. That may feel emotionally heavy, but it's still a thought, a sentence appearing in consciousness, not a fact. Another thought can say, I'm failing. That's just a label, a concept, a lens, and it changes the moment a new thought appears. Actually, I'm learning. So which one is the real you?
Neither.
You are not the negative thought.
You are not the positive thought.
You are the awareness behind both. This is why Rhonda Byrne and spiritual teachers throughout time urge you to disidentify from your mind, because the mind is a storyteller, not a seer. It can't show you truth. It can only repeat what it's been taught, what it fears, and what it assumes. Truth is quiet. Awareness doesn't argue. It simply is. And the moment you return to that awareness, you come home. The shift from thinker to observer. Here's a simple practice to begin making that shift. 1. Notice a thought. It could be anything. This isn't working. I'm tired. This is boring. 2. Ask who noticed that thought. You'll feel a gap open, a pause, a distance between you and the mind. 3. Rest as the awareness. Don't try to fix the thought. Don't debate it. Just stay in the seeing. Feel yourself as the observer, not the content. At first, this might feel subtle. You may get pulled back into thoughts quickly. That's okay. Just notice again.
Every time you return to awareness, you're loosening the grip of identification.
You're shifting from I am this thought to I am the one who sees this thought. And eventually that seeing becomes effortless. Why this matters? If you believe every thought, you suffer with every thought. But the moment you see them for what they are, just mental noise, you're no longer trapped. You don't have to follow every fear, obey every impulse, or believe every story.
You can let them arise and let them go. That's freedom. You still live your life. You still feel. You still think. But now you're not caught in it. You're resting as the space behind it.
Rhonda Byrne calls this awakening to awareness, and it is the first, most essential step in realizing the greatest secret of all. You are not the mind. You are not the thinker.
You are the awareness in which all experience happens.
From this point forward, the journey shifts. So you don't need to fix your thoughts, you just need to stop being them. You don't need to become awakened. You only need to recognize that you've always been awareness and always will be. Lesson 2. Awareness is who you really are, the true self revealed. Most people believe they are their name, their body, their personality, their job, or the story of their life. But in The Greatest Secret, Rhonda Byrne challenges this deeply ingrained belief and points to a far more profound truth. You are not any of those things. You are awareness itself, the silent, unchanging background in which all thoughts, emotions, and experiences appear and disappear. To understand this, consider a simple question. What remains the same while everything else changes? Your body changes, your emotions rise and fall, your thoughts shift, and your circumstances constantly evolve. But something has remained the same throughout your entire life. That something is the awareness that notices all of it. It is the you that has been watching since you were a child, the presence that has never left, no matter what has come and gone. This awareness is not a concept. It is not something you need to create or imagine. It is already here, now. You don't need to believe in it or work toward it. You only need to recognize it. Try this now. Close your eyes, let thoughts pass like clouds, and ask yourself, what is aware of these thoughts? Don't analyze, just feel into it. There is a quiet space that watches. It doesn't comment, it doesn't push or pull, it simply sees. That is your true self, not your name, not your past, not your roles, just this aware presence. It has no age, it doesn't get angry or afraid, it doesn't come and go, it simply is. Many traditions have called this awareness by different names: consciousness, spirit, presence, the self, even God. But the label is not important. What matters is the realization that you are not the content of your experience. You are the container. You are not the waves of thought and emotion. You are the ocean beneath them. Most suffering comes from forgetting this. When you believe you are a separate person with a story to defend, emotions to control, and a life to fix, you live in constant tension. But when you recognize you are the open awareness behind all of it, you experience peace, even in the middle of change. This doesn't mean you no longer think, feel, or act. Life continues. Emotions arise, but you stop being fused with the story. You become the observer, not distant or cold, but free, aware of what is happening without being overwhelmed by it. And in that freedom, a quiet joy begins to arise. A joy that isn't based on external success, relationships, or achievements, but on simply being. This is the peace that passes understanding. It's not a high, it's not a mental state, it's your natural, effortless being, what's left when the mind quiets. You might ask, if this is so simple and always here, why don't I feel it all the time? The answer is habit. We are so used to identifying with thoughts and emotions that we overlook the presence in which they occur. It's like watching a movie so intensely that you forget you're sitting in a theater. But once you look around and notice the screen, the spell is broken. You can still enjoy the film, but you're no longer lost in it. That's what awakening to awareness feels like. Life continues, but now you know you're not the drama, you're the screen. You're the light in which everything appears. And that light was never damaged, never limited, never unworthy. It was always whole, always free, always enough. This is the greatest secret, not that you can become something, but that you already are everything. The more you rest as awareness, the more life begins to unfold with ease. You respond rather than react. You observe rather than obsess. And without trying, your presence becomes magnetic, peaceful, powerful. Rhonda Byrne reminds us again and again, awareness is not something distant. It is what you are. You don't need to meditate for hours or seek outside yourself. You only need to pause and recognize, I am aware. I am not this thought. I am the one who sees it. From this recognition, everything changes. Not because the world shifts, but because your relationship to it does. You become the sky, not the storm, the ocean, not the wave, the awareness, not the mind. And in that shift, suffering begins to dissolve, not because you fixed the story, but because you stopped believing it was who you are. You stopped mistaking the noise for the source.
You are awareness, infinite, untouched, present now.
Lesson 3. Letting go of resistance, the end of inner struggle. If there's one thing that keeps people stuck in suffering more than anything else, it's resistance. Resistance to emotions. Resistance to other people. Resistance to situations, thoughts, outcomes, or memories. Most of us live in a constant internal battle, trying to push away what we don't like, fix what feels broken, or avoid what we're afraid of. This resistance creates tension, stress, and exhaustion. But here's the truth at the heart of the greatest secret. What you resist persists, and more than that, it grows stronger, louder, and more painful. The very act of resisting something gives it more energy and keeps it alive in your experience. Rhonda Byrne explains that when we stop resisting and start welcoming, when we stop fighting and begin allowing, we unlock a freedom that was never lost, only hidden. It's not about becoming passive or indifferent. It's about no longer creating inner friction with what's already here. Resistance says, it shouldn't be happening. Awareness says, this is what's here right now. The first creates suffering. The second creates space. Imagine someone says something that triggers anger in you. Your mind immediately wants to react. They're wrong. This isn't fair. I shouldn't feel this way. Now, instead of just experiencing anger, you're also resisting it. You tense up, you blame, you want it gone. But what if you did something radically different? What if, instead of pushing away the anger, you paused and welcomed it, not indulged it, not acted it out, just allowed it to be felt, fully and without judgment? The moment you stop resisting the feeling, something shifts. The emotion begins to soften, the charge begins to dissolve. You're no longer stuck in it because you've stopped fighting it. This is the power of letting go. When you welcome what arises emotionally, mentally, or even physically, you remove the inner pressure that turns a passing feeling into a lasting wound. Welcoming doesn't mean you love what's happening. It means you acknowledge it fully. You say, this too belongs in this moment. This too can be seen and felt and allowed. And once it's allowed, it no longer controls you. Resistance always comes from the mind. It labels things as good or bad, right or wrong, wanted or unwanted. And then it creates strategies to avoid the bad and cling to the good. But awareness, the real you, has no resistance. It doesn't need to fix the moment. It simply sees, it welcomes, it holds space. And in that holding, everything that once felt unbearable becomes bearable, not because it changed, but because you're no longer tightening against it. Think of resistance like holding a beach ball underwater. It takes constant effort. You have to push, strain, and monitor it. But the moment you let go, the ball pops up, floats for a moment, and then naturally drifts away. That's how emotions work. The more you resist them, the more you hold them in place. The more you allow them, the more they rise, release, and pass on their own. One of the most helpful practices Rhonda Byrne shares is simply pausing and saying, "Can I just welcome this feeling?" The moment you ask, you create a gap between you and the emotion. You stop identifying. You become the observer. And from that place, even intense emotions like fear, shame, or grief begin to lose their grip. You realize they're just energy moving through your body, not who you are. And it's not just emotions we resist people too. We argue in our heads, replay conversations, judge their behavior. But what if we welcomed them as they are, even just internally? What if we stopped needing others to change for us to feel peace? That shift alone would save you years of struggle. The truth is, reality is never the problem. It's our resistance to reality that hurts. Byron Katie says it clearly. When you argue with reality, you lose, but only 100% of the time. Letting go of resistance isn't about giving up on change. It's about letting go of the fight against what already is. And from that space, you often find you're far more effective at creating change because you're no longer acting from fear or control. Welcoming is not a technique to get rid of feelings. It's a recognition that they're already here and that it's safe to feel them. It's the end of self-rejection, the end of trying to escape the now. It's a return to openness, presence, and truth. You don't need to resist what you feel. You don't need to fear it. It's not permanent. It's not dangerous. It's just a visitor passing through. And when you stop slamming the door on it, it comes, delivers its message, and leaves. So next time something arises, an emotion, a thought, a memory, pause. Notice the urge to push it away, and instead ask, "Can I just let this be here?" Even if the answer is no, welcome the no. The resistance is allowed too. This is not about perfection. It's about honesty. It's about being present with whatever shows up. Because the moment you stop fighting your inner world, your outer world begins to change too. Not through force, but through alignment, through peace. Letting go of resistance doesn't mean giving up. It means giving yourself back to the wholeness that's never left you. It means trusting that awareness, the real you, can hold everything that arises without breaking. This is how suffering begins to dissolve, not through force, but through welcoming, not through control, but through surrender, not through becoming someone new, but by returning to what you already are. Lesson 4. The disappearance of suffering, living without the me. Suffering is not created by the world. It's not created by circumstances or by other people. Suffering begins and ends with one thing, the belief in the personal me. The imagined identity that says, "This is happening to me, this affects me, this means something about me." The moment we believe we are this limited, individual self, a cluster of thoughts, feelings, memories, and roles, we begin to experience pain, struggle, and separation. But when the idea of me dissolves, suffering loses its foundation. It has nothing left to cling to. Rhonda Byrne, in The Greatest Secret, shows that the biggest illusion of all is the belief in the personal self. The me we defend, protect, promote, and worry about every day is not real. It's a mental construction. It's a narrative made of language and memory. When you say, "I'm angry" or "I'm scared," what you're really describing is an emotion arising in awareness. But because you identify as the one who feels it, you lock it in. You suffer with it. And you spend your life trying to protect, this fragile I, from being hurt, judged, abandoned, or exposed. But here's the truth. The me you think you are is not who you really are. It's just a bundle of thoughts, a character your mind created, a role in a play you didn't write. You were taught who to be. You were told what you are. But beneath that story is something infinitely more real, awareness itself. When you stop identifying with the me, something miraculous happens. Suffering begins to fall away on its own. Not because you fixed the content of your life, but because you stopped believing there was a you that needs fixing. Think about it. Who suffers? The me that wants things to go a certain way. The me that fears being rejected. The me that compares, judges, and regrets. But when you rest as awareness, none of that applies. Awareness doesn't want, it doesn't judge, it doesn't need anything to be different. It simply is. And in that isness, suffering cannot take hold. This is not an abstract idea. It's something you can test directly. Try sitting quietly and asking, who is this happening to? Don't answer with words, just look. A thought might say, it's happening to me. But who is seeing that thought? There's always a deeper noticing, a silent observer behind even the identity of the thinker. And when you see that clearly, the illusion of the me starts to unravel. Without the me, fear loses its fuel. Fear needs someone to protect. Anger needs someone to defend. Shame needs someone to blame. Without the personal self, these emotions can arise, but they no longer stick. They appear and dissolve like clouds in a sky that never flinches. Living without the me doesn't mean you have no personality, no preferences, or no action. It means you're no longer confused about your identity. You act from freedom, not from defense. You speak from clarity, not from fear. You live from being, not from becoming. And what replaces suffering? A quiet, steady joy. A peace that has no cause, a lightness in the body and mind. It's not the high of pleasure or the buzz of success. It's deeper than that. It's the feeling of coming home, of no longer carrying the burden of being someone. That burden is heavy. It's the root of stress, anxiety, and burnout. But you can put it down. You can stop being a person and start being presence. The world might still look the same, but your experience of it changes completely. You no longer take things personally. You no longer feel the need to control. You no longer react from a wound you're trying to protect. You're simply here, open, present, free. Does this mean you never feel pain again? Physical pain may still arise, emotional waves may still pass through, but suffering, the mental commentary, resistance and identification that magnifies pain begins to dissolve. And as it dissolves, a new way of being emerges, one that is intimate, spacious, and unshakable. You begin to see others differently too. When you're not caught in your me, you don't get entangled in theirs. You listen more. You judge less. You connect more deeply. Love flows more naturally because there's no ego blocking the path. And this is not something you need years to reach. It's available now, in this moment. It begins with seeing that the me is not what you are, and with choosing again and again to rest as awareness. This is the end of inner struggle, not because life is perfect, but because you no longer fight what is. Not because you figured it all out, but because you stopped believing the one who needs to. This is freedom, not the ability to do whatever you want, but the realization that you were never trapped to begin with. The personal self is an illusion. And when that illusion fades, so does the suffering it brings. Lesson 5. The power of welcoming. A new relationship with emotion. One of the most liberating practices in The Greatest Secret is something Rhonda Byrne calls welcoming. It's not a technique in the traditional sense. It's not about forcing something to happen. Instead, it's about dropping the fight. It's about opening the door to whatever emotion is present in the moment without labeling it, avoiding it, or trying to fix it. It's about saying a quiet, courageous yes to what we normally push away. And in that yes, everything begins to shift. Most of us are taught to resist painful emotions. We're conditioned to believe that negative feelings should be avoided, suppressed, or solved. So when fear arises, we tense up. When sadness appears, we distract ourselves. When shame comes in, we bury it. Over time, this resistance becomes automatic. It becomes the lens through which we relate to ourselves and to life. But here's the truth. What we resist, we strengthen. Every time we push an emotion down, we actually give it more power. It doesn't go away, it just goes deeper. And from that hidden place, it continues to influence our thoughts, our behavior, and our sense of who we are. Welcoming is the antidote to that pattern. It begins with a simple shift in perspective. Instead of fighting your emotions, you choose to feel them. You stop trying to get rid of what's arising and instead allow it to be seen, heard, and felt, fully and without judgment. You don't need to understand it. You don't need to figure out where it came from. You just need to let it be. And when you do, something miraculous happens. The emotion starts to lose its grip. It begins to move, and often it dissolves entirely because it's finally been allowed to complete its cycle. This is not about indulging in emotion or acting it out. It's not about telling a story or wallowing in it. Welcoming is the opposite of dramatizing. It's quiet, it's internal, it's deeply honest, and it's something you can practice anytime, anywhere. For example, let's say anxiety arises, you feel it in your chest, your stomach, your mind. Normally you might resist it. This shouldn't be here. What's wrong with me? But with welcoming, you pause, you breathe. You notice the sensation. You say inwardly, you are allowed to be here. And you just feel. You don't try to change it. You don't try to control it. You just let it be what it is. Often, within a few moments, the anxiety begins to soften. Maybe it passes entirely, or maybe it stays for a while, but now you're no longer caught in it. You're the space around it. You're the awareness that holds it gently and without fear. This works with any emotion: anger, sadness, guilt, boredom, jealousy. The key is to stay present, to feel the energy without feeding the mental story. The story is what makes it personal. I shouldn't feel this. They made me feel this. This will never go away. But when you drop the story and just feel the raw emotion, it becomes manageable, even peaceful. Because now you're not fighting reality. You're cooperating with it. Rhonda Byrne explains that this practice isn't just about emotional relief. It's about returning to your natural state. Beneath every resisted emotion is the awareness you truly are. And every time you welcome a feeling, you're peeling back a layer of identification. You're returning home. You're remembering that what you feel is not who you are. It's just passing weather in the sky of your being. There's another layer to welcoming that's even more profound. The realization that you can welcome not just emotions, but the parts of yourself you've been rejecting. You can welcome the fear of being unworthy. You can welcome the part that wants control. You can welcome the old beliefs that say, I'm not enough. Every time you do, you shine awareness on a shadow. You bring light to a place that's been hidden. And in that light, transformation happens.
This isn't a quick fix. It's not a one-time technique. It's a way of living, a way of relating to yourself with kindness, with courage, and with honesty. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. You begin to see that no emotion is the enemy. You stop being afraid of feeling. And when you're no longer afraid of emotion, you become truly free.
You no longer need to manage your inner world like a battlefield. You don't need to suppress, numb, or avoid. You just meet whatever arises and let it pass. This creates an inner spaciousness that changes everything. You become more grounded, more present, more available to life. You begin to trust that you can handle anything, not by controlling it, but by welcoming it.
Welcoming is radical because it goes against the habits of the mind. The mind wants control, the heart wants openness. And when you welcome what arises, you align with the heart. You step out of resistance and into truth. And that truth is always the same. Everything is welcome here. Everything can be held in awareness. Everything is safe to be seen.
So the next time a difficult emotion arises, pause, breathe, feel it. Say inwardly, you're allowed to be here. Stay with it gently and without analysis. Let it move through you like a wave, and know that in doing so you are returning to your power, not by force but by surrender, not by pushing away discomfort, but by becoming the space in which even discomfort is embraced. This is the power of welcoming, and it is one of the most direct paths to lasting freedom. Lesson 6. Living in effortless joy. The natural state of being. Joy is not something you chase. It's not a reward for achievements. It's not found in the next success, the next relationship, the next breakthrough. Joy is your natural state, the silent, vibrant aliveness that's always been here underneath the noise. It's what remains when the mind quiets, when resistance falls away, and when you return to awareness. Rhonda Byrne's message in The Greatest Secret is simple and profound. Joy doesn't need to be created, it only needs to be uncovered. We've been conditioned to believe that happiness must be earned, that we have to do something to feel good, that we need to fix ourselves, complete our goals, resolve our problems. But this is the great misunderstanding. The truth is, beneath all the effort, all the striving, all the trying, there is a joy that was never lost, a peace that was never broken, an ease that has always been here, simply waiting for us to notice. Think about a time when you felt deeply peaceful for no reason. Maybe you were sitting in nature, walking alone, or waking up from a deep rest. For a few moments, the mind was quiet. There was no goal, no tension, just being. And in that beingness, joy appeared, not as a feeling, but as a presence. That's what this lesson points to, the joy that arises not from doing, but from being. So how do we access this effortless joy? Not by chasing it, not by trying to manufacture it, but by removing the layers that obscure it. These layers are made up of mental noise, emotional resistance, and the belief in a separate me that needs to achieve something to be whole. When those fall away, even for a moment, what remains is joy. Not an emotional high, but a deep, steady sense of okayness, of lightness, of freedom. Rhonda Byrne reminds us that joy is not something we need to wait for. It's here now, it's the default setting of awareness. When we stop identifying with the mind and rest in what we truly are, joy naturally arises, not as a reward, but as a reflection of our true nature. And unlike fleeting pleasure, this joy is not dependent on circumstances. It's not fragile. It doesn't vanish when things go wrong. It simply is. To live in effortless joy is to stop searching. It's to let go of the idea that something needs to be different for you to feel good. It's to rest in presence and allow life to unfold without pushing or pulling. This doesn't mean you become passive. It means you take action from peace, not from lack, from fullness, not from fear. There's a deep intelligence in joy. It doesn't cloud your thinking, it clarifies it. It doesn't make you detached. It makes you more connected, more present, more compassionate. When you operate from joy, your energy becomes lighter, your creativity expands, your relationships soften. You begin to move through life with grace instead of pressure. Many people think that joy comes after the goal is reached, but the paradox is this: the more you rest in joy now, the more effortlessly things unfold. Why? Because you're no longer driven by resistance. You're no longer grasping or defending. You're in alignment with life. And when you're in alignment, opportunities appear, synchronicities unfold, and your actions carry more power. Joy is not excitement, it's not hype, it's not even positivity. It's quieter than that. It's the smile behind your thoughts, the soft warmth in your chest when you stop trying. It's the sense that right now, without anything needing to change, all is well. That's not just poetic, it's practical. Because when you move from that space, your life starts to reflect it. Peace creates peace. Ease creates ease. The key to living in effortless joy is remembrance. Every day, every hour, you're given a choice to identify with the thoughts of the mind or to rest in the awareness behind them, to chase joy as something external or to notice it within. This is not about denying pain or pretending everything is perfect. It's about recognizing that even in the middle of challenge, there is a presence in you that is untouched. That presence is joy, and the more you return to it, the more stable it becomes, not because it changed, but because you did. You stopped leaving home. So when stress arises, pause. When emotion surges, pause. When the mind starts spinning stories, pause, and simply ask, who is aware of this? That question will bring you back to the space where joy lives, back to the now, back to yourself. Joy isn't waiting at the end of your journey. It's been walking with you the whole time. Lesson 7. The radiance of awareness, being the light of the world. When you drop your attachment to the mind, when you let go of the personal me, and when you begin to rest in awareness, something remarkable begins to happen. You become luminous, not in a mystical or metaphorical way, but in a real, grounded sense. You feel lighter, people around you feel it. Life responds differently. You become a presence that doesn't just exist in the world, you begin to affect it without effort. This is the radiance of awareness, the light of consciousness shining through you when you're no longer clouded by identification with form. Rhonda Byrne describes this not as something you create, but something you uncover. Awareness is radiant by nature. It doesn't need to be made brighter, it just needs to be unblocked. Think of a light bulb covered in layers of cloth. The light has always been on, but its brightness is dimmed by what surrounds it. Remove the layers, beliefs, resistance, identity, fear, and the light shines freely. That's what happens when you live from awareness. You stop trying to prove, perform, or protect yourself. And in doing so, your natural light begins to shine through. This radiance is not about charisma or perfection. It's about presence. It's the feeling people get around you when you're fully here, not lost in thought, not caught in judgment, not trying to be someone, just aware, open, real. It doesn't require words. You don't need to teach or preach. Your presence becomes the transmission. Your peace becomes the offering. When you rest in awareness, others begin to feel more safe around you, not because you give them answers, but because your stillness gives them permission to stop running too. The radiance of awareness also changes how you move through life. Decisions become clearer. Relationships become more genuine. You become less reactive, less defensive, less entangled in drama. Why? Because you're not operating from lack. You're not trying to protect a false self. You're simply allowing life to unfold, guided by something deeper than thought, something intuitive, quiet, and infinitely intelligent. This isn't about perfection. You'll still have moments of contraction, fear, or doubt, but you'll recover faster, you'll see through it sooner, and you'll spend less time tangled in it. Because now you know who you are, you've touched the light within, and once you've seen it, it's hard to forget. And there's also a deep humility that comes with this. Not the kind of humility that belittles yourself, but the kind that no longer needs to defend anything. You don't need to be right. You don't need to be special. You don't even need to be noticed. You're simply here, fully, honestly, lovingly, and that is enough. As awareness shines through more clearly, compassion deepens. You see others not as enemies or obstacles, but as beings caught in their own illusion, just as you once were. And instead of judgment, you feel empathy. You don't need to fix them, but you no longer meet them with resistance. You hold space, you listen, you radiate presence, and in doing so you become a kind of mirror, one that reflects to others their own forgotten light. This is the quiet power of living from awareness. It's not loud or flashy, it doesn't demand attention, it simply is, and its impact is often invisible but profound. One person rooted in awareness can change a room, not through will, but through being. Rhonda Byrne reminds us that this radiance is not reserved for saints or spiritual masters. It belongs to everyone. It is the essence of who we are. You don't need to earn it. You don't need to wait for it. You just need to stop covering it. The moment you rest as awareness, even for a second, the light begins to shine. You become a beacon. Not because you try to be, but because you're no longer hiding. This is what it means to be the light of the world. It's not a burden or a responsibility. It's a return to your true nature. And it's available now, in this moment, as you are. Conclusion. Freedom is now. The final step is no step. At the end of the journey described in The Greatest Secret, you don't arrive somewhere new. You arrive somewhere eternal, where you've always been, even if you didn't see it before. The final realization is also the first. You are already free. Freedom is not something to achieve. It's not something you earn through spiritual effort or mental discipline. It's something you recognize, and the moment you recognize it, you realize it was always here. All the seeking, all the suffering, all the inner work, it was never about becoming someone else. It was about remembering who you are beneath all the layers, not a story, not a personality, not a thought, but the silent, open awareness in which all of life appears. And here's the beautiful truth. Nothing more is needed. You don't need another book, another method, another breakthrough. You don't need to clear every emotion, fix every belief, or quiet every thought. Those things may happen along the way, but they are not the destination. The destination is now. It's the awareness that's present as you read these words, the stillness behind your eyes, the space in which every thought rises and falls. Rhonda Byrne emphasizes this again and again. The mind will always want to keep searching. It will say, "You're not there yet," or "You need one more realization." But awareness, the real you, knows better. It doesn't seek. It doesn't strive. It simply rests in itself. And the more you recognize that, the less power the mind has to pull you into time, into effort, into the illusion of progress. The final step, then, is no step. It is the end of trying, the end of seeking. It is a gentle exhale, a falling inward, a resting in the simple truth. I am here. I am awareness. I am already free. And from that place, life becomes lighter. Emotions still arise, but they don't define you. Thoughts still come, but they don't control you. The world still moves, but it no longer shakes your center. This doesn't mean you never grow or evolve. It means your growth comes from peace, not pressure. Your evolution comes from joy, not striving. You're no longer trying to reach freedom. You're living from it. And as you do, you discover that this freedom is the foundation of everything beautiful. Love, creativity, compassion, clarity, strength. It's not an escape from life. It's the full embrace of it, without fear. So if you're still looking, pause. If you're still waiting, stop. If you're still striving, rest. The greatest secret is not hidden in the future. It is shining in the now, in the silence between thoughts, in the awareness of this moment, in the beingness that is always, already, enough. This is it. And it's been it all along. Welcome home.